This is my PSA against the dollar store. Hey folks, it's Carrie from Pretty Neat. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, I hope that you'll do so. I share videos here every week about organizing and decluttering your home and just making your space the best it can be. So I hope that you'll stick around. So today I want to talk about some lessons we can learn from the things that we get rid of. I recently did a video about lessons that I learned from some of my best purchases. I'll be sure to link that in the description box below. But today I want to talk about some categories of items that most of us can probably relate to in terms of them not being that useful, and they often find their way to the donation center or we put them in the trash. So one thing that I find I'm frequently decluttering are things that I got for free. Now this could be a variety of sources of this free stuff. There's one area that I've tried to really steer clear of for a long time, and that I call it the free crap. So whenever you go to like a conference or if you go to the state fair or something, there's all those things being given out, like pens and bags, the kind with a little drawstring, and it's those promotional items that you don't really need. You probably already have plenty of that type of item at home already, but you see it and it's free, so you're like, oh, I'll grab that. And I mean, certainly a pen, that might be useful, but for the most part, we have enough pens at home, right? When I go to any of those events and stuff, I really try to stay away from the free crap because I find that I don't really appreciate it very much because I got it for free. Oftentimes it's not really that useful. I end up bringing it home and trying the pen out, and it's something I don't really like writing with, so I just end up either tossing it or in a drawer or getting rid of it. I think we can learn to try to minimize the free things that come into our home for these reasons. Another source of free stuff that has happened with me is I will go to my mom's house occasionally, and she and I are a similar size, and she'll be decluttering her own closet and getting rid of some clothes, and she'll say, hey, is there anything here that you want? And I'll usually pick through it and I might grab a couple of items. Now, a few of those I have ended up wearing, but for the most part, I find that those are the things that I end up decluttering. And that is because I didn't purchase them for myself. They're not exactly my style, or they don't fit me as well as the things that I have purchased on my own. And I really just grabbed them because they were free. And I think if you have people in your life who like to give you stuff, this might be something to keep in mind. Ask yourself if you actually end up keeping and using those things, or do you end up getting rid of them? And maybe you can just save yourself the trouble by not grabbing them in the first place. Another category of things that we can learn something from because we typically are getting rid of them are things that we got for $1. This is my PSA against the dollar store. Now, if you like shopping at the dollar store and you get things there that you actually use, I mean, you should definitely keep doing that because it's really cheap to shop there. But I find that the dollar store is just a hotbed for impulse purchases. I go in there, I end up grabbing a bunch of stuff that I don't really need, that I don't really like, and I just get it because it's so cheap. It's like, if I think it's okay, I might as well grab it. It's only $1. But again, if we're trying to minimize our homes, if we're trying to live a more decluttered life, part of that is stopping the flow of the incoming items. And I find that the dollar store is often a source of cheap junk that we don't really need and we don't really end up using, and we just buy it because it's very tempting. If you are a dollar store shopper and you like it there and you get stuff that you need, you should keep shopping there. But if you find that you are often getting rid of those things that were a dollar store purchase, maybe the next time you're in the dollar store, you can give yourself a limit, maybe a dollar amount of your impulse purchases that you're going to allow yourself, or better yet, maybe just stop shopping there. I think that you can get the same things often at a similar price point elsewhere, and you don't have that same level of temptation to just pick everything up because it's so dang cheap. Another category of items that you might find yourself decluttering often are those items that only serve one very specific purchase. I'm talking about those things, often they're things we use in the kitchen that are very, very specific. Things like a panini maker or a bagel slicer. If you go to the thrift store and walk through that aisle, you will see all of these things. It's like a graveyard of small appliances that only serve one purpose. And I think there's a lesson to be learned there about buying items that are somewhat versatile and things that we can use in multiple ways. They will just be more likely to serve us better in our homes. And it means we don't have to own so many different things. Most people I work with are struggling to find storage space in their kitchen. So having a bunch of these small appliances that really can only do this one specific thing is probably not the best solution, especially if you're tight on space. So if you're tempted to buy something that has just this one really specific purpose, maybe ask yourself, is there another way to accomplish the same thing without having to buy this item? For example, can you make a panini just in a pan on the top of the stove? Or can you slice a bagel just with a kitchen knife? And that pan and that kitchen knife you can use for many other things besides just that one specific purchase. And that just means fewer things to store, fewer things to maintain, and you probably won't be getting rid of that when you kind of get out of that phase of making paninis. Another category of items that we might find ourselves decluttering often are things related to our hobbies. So I am a paper crafter. I love stationery and pens and stickers and all of that stuff. And it's very tempting for me to buy a lot of supplies because it's fun. It's something that I enjoy, and I do use those things to a degree, but it is easy to overbuy. And I've heard it said that the act of purchasing items for the hobby is a separate hobby than actually doing the hobby, if that makes sense. So I try to keep that in mind and to ask myself before I impulse buy more hobby supplies, am I really going to use these? I have, how much stuff do I have at home to use? And I wouldn't say I'm 100% successful at avoiding those purchases, but it has helped me to steer clear of them. Another way that we end up creating clutter in our homes with hobbies is sometimes we get excited about trying a new hobby, and then we think we need to buy all of the gear, all of the stuff for it, every little thing. And especially nowadays, you can go on these groups where people are doing this hobby and see all the stuff they're buying, and it can be very tempting. But if you're taking up something new, maybe ask yourself if you can start on a smaller scale and then decide if you stick with it for a long period of time, you can maybe invest in more of the hobby supplies. But at the very start, maybe keep your collection as minimal as you can, just to kind of see if you even like it. The final category of items that I want to talk about that I often find myself decluttering, and I see with my clients as well, are those things that we received as gifts. Now, gifts are a big topic. I will probably be doing a video here just about gifts in general, because there's a lot to unpack there. Oftentimes we end up not really using the things that we receive as gifts because we didn't select them for ourselves. They were well-intentioned, but maybe they just don't fit our style, or it's not something that we're likely to use, or maybe it literally doesn't fit in terms of clothing. So with the people that I work with, and I go through this myself, there's a lot of guilt around gifts. When someone we care about gives us something, we feel like we need to keep it. And even if it's not our style or not something that we're going to use, we feel bad getting rid of it. We feel like that's being unappreciative. But the way I look at gift giving, The whole purpose is in the exchange of the gifts. And when a person gives you something, that means that they thought of you, they considered what you might like, they purchased something and they gave it to you. Their part of the transaction ends there. You know, all you really owe them is the appreciation for the gift. And once you have said thank you, the gift now belongs to you. It's now your thing to decide what to do with it. And if what you decide is that I'm never going to wear this or I'm never going to use this, I say it's better to re-gift that item or to donate that item, basically to give it to someone who actually will get some use out of it. Because it doesn't really do you or anyone any good for that item to just sit unused, tucked away in a closet somewhere. So I hope these tips about the things that we get rid of and what we can learn from them have been helpful to you. If they were, please hit the like button. It helps my channel out a lot. And don't forget to subscribe. I share videos here every week about organizing and decluttering and just making your space the best it can be. Talk to you soon.